Have you been considering a move to Pollock Pines, but you're wondering how snowy does it really get there? How far out is this place and how small of a town is it really? Then this video's for you. In this video, I'm gonna go over 6 pros and 6 cons of living in Pollock Pines. And at the end, I'm gonna go over one maybe, and you'll have to decide, is it a pro or is it a con for your family? And you can let me know in the comments down below. If you've been watching a while, welcome back. And if you're new here, you're probably wondering who I am and why you should be listening to me. Well, that's a fair question. My name's Rich Curtis with eXp Realty, and I've been selling homes here in El Dorado County in the greater Pollock Pines area for nearly 20 years. In markets ranging from the Great Recession all the way to the COVID market insanity and everything in between. So I've got you covered when it comes to El Dorado County real estate. So now let's get stuck right into the pros and cons of living in Pollock Pines. First off, where's Pollock Pines and what's it really like there? Well, Pollock Pines is actually smack dab in the middle between Sacramento and South Lake Tahoe. If you stick a pin in Pollock Pines, you drive 1 hour to the west and you're in Sacramento, drive 1 hour to the east and you're in South Lake Tahoe. It's just 13 miles east or uphill of Placerville and about a 15-minute drive. So what is Pollock Pines really like? Well, the motto on the city sign says it all. It's nature's wonderland. It looks a lot like South Lake Tahoe, which we'll get into more later in the video. But it's tall pine trees, beautiful trails, lakes, rivers, and waterfalls. It's a gorgeous place to live, but you do have to be willing to deal with the snow. Another thing to note is it's a very small town at just over 7,000 people, so everybody knows everybody. I'm gonna give you the rest of the details right now as we go over the pros of living in Pollock Pines. Pro number 1 for Pollock Pines has to be that it's cooler there. And I don't mean a cool place to live. I mean physically the temperature is cooler, significantly cooler. Pollock Pines sits at 4,000 foot elevation, which is the same elevation as Kybers, which you might know is a little town on your drive up Highway 50 towards Tahoe when you're going skiing. You actually go up to Pollock, down, and back up to Kybers. So that 4,000 foot elevation makes a huge difference. It is often 10 degrees cooler in Pollock Pines than it is in Placerville. That makes a huge difference when it's triple digits in Placerville. My family jumps in the car, and with just a 15-minute drive east to Pollock Pines, we get it to be 10 degrees cooler, and there's an awesome lake to hang out at, which brings us to our second pro of living in Pollock Pines, which is Jenkinson Lake. Jenkinson Lake is awesome. Now, if you've been there before, you might have heard it called, or you might have called it yourself, Sly Park Lake, and even some locals call it that, or they might just say, we're going to Sly Park, and that means they're going to the lake. But technically, it is called Jenkinson Lake, and this place is like a mini Lake Tahoe. It's got an awesome trail all the way around it. It's great for water skiing, wakeboarding, mountain biking, hiking. There's even an awesome waterfall there. This place is a huge benefit of living in Pollock Pines. That trail around the lake is just over 8 miles long and is great for mountain biking and hiking or just walking the dog, with the benefit that if you get hot, you can just jump in the lake and cool off. There's also tons of family campsites there, as well as large group campsites. There's multiple boat ramps, and you can even rent a slip for the season. There's a huge cove that has a no wake zone, which is great for your non-motorized boating like kayaks, canoes, and paddle boards. There's even an awesome waterfall here that's especially good in the spring. You can access it via about a 4-mile hike from the second dam, or you can just drive to the end of the road and do a short 1-mile hike and check out the waterfall. Now, the one secret to Sly Park that makes it truly awesome is come about midsummer, the water in the shallows is really warm and great to hang out in for a long time. Having this lake right in the heart of Pollock Pines is one of the major benefits of living in this community. Pro number 3 of living in Pollock Pines has to be affordability. It's one of the most affordable places to live here in the foothills in El Dorado County and really in the entire state. At an average home price, as of the recording of this video, of $387,000, that represents a huge value for money for California real estate prices. Just 15 minutes west or downhill to Placerville, the average home price jumps to $543,000. And all the way down in Sacramento, an hour away, it is still an average home price of $543,000. Now, many of you are sitting here watching this from the Bay Area thinking about moving here. Well, in the Bay Area, the average home prices range from $1.1 million to $1.7 million, depending on the community that you're in. So Pollock Pines at just $387,000 average home price with Tahoe-like nature and a beautiful lake represents a truly incredible value for money as a place to live and buy a home. So you might be wondering, what does the average home in Pollock Pines look like? What do you get for that $387,000? Well, in general, you're gonna get a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home around 1,500 square feet on about an acre of land that needs a little updating inside. It's not bad for under $400,000 in California. Now, if you don't have the $387,000 to spend, does that mean there's nothing here for you? Well, no, the bottom of the market, if you need to get a loan on the property, is gonna be around $325,000, but those homes are gonna need a lot of work. And if you have a larger budget, then we have gorgeous high-end luxury homes on offer. But to put that in perspective, the most expensive home in Pollock Pines right now is a 7-bedroom, 3-bath, 4,208 square foot home on 4 acres with gorgeous river canyon and mountain views to die for, a swimming pool, a hot tub, and high-end finishes, and it's going for just under $1.3 million. That's a lot of home for $1.3 million. For those of you moving here from the Bay Area, you know, in the East Bay, your $1.3 million might get you a 2 to 3 bedroom, 1 to 2 bath, 1,000 to 1,300 square feet, built 120 years ago with knob and tube wiring and windows that have to be propped open with a stick if you want to get a breeze inside. So yes, we have homes that are in the millions here, but you get a tremendous amount of home at that price point here in Pollock Pines. So it truly cannot be overstated what an affordable community this is. When you're facing down higher home prices, higher interest rates, and the high cost of fire insurance, having a lower starting home price to begin with makes all the difference in your monthly budget. Hey, if by the end of this video you still aren't sure if Pollock Pines is right for you, or even if Dorado County is right for you, feel free to reach out to me via the contact information on your screen or in the description down below. I've been selling homes here for nearly 20 years and I've helped hundreds of families just like yours decide where to land in Dorado County, and I'm always happy to help. All right, now back to the pros of living in Pollock Pines. Pro number 4 of living in Pollock Pines has to be outdoor recreation. Like I said, the Pollock Pines sign calls it nature's wonderland, and that is no exaggeration. With Jenkinson Lake, 4-Bay Reservoir, the hiking trails at Park Creek, there is more to explore for the outdoor adventure in Pollock Pines than you could ever get to. Whether it's hiking, mountain biking, water skiing, wakeboarding, horseback riding, or off-roading, there is every outdoor sport you can imagine right there in Pollock Pines, and all of it is also super close to Tahoe, which we're going to talk about next. Pro number 5 of living in Pollock Pines has to be quick access to Lake Tahoe. Tahoe is just 1 hour away from Pollock Pines to South Lake Tahoe, and at just 45 minutes away, you can already be at your first ski resort, Sierra at Tahoe. And if you prefer to go into the Tahoe Basin via the Kirkwood end, you can go out past Jenkinson Lake and up Mormon Immigrant Trail and be in Tahoe in an hour and a half that way as well. So you've got quick, easy access to everything that the Tahoe Basin has to offer. But the truth is, you may never actually have to go to Tahoe because of the best kept secret about Pollock Pines and my favorite thing about living in Pollock Pines, and that is our pro number 6, which is that Pollock Pines is Lake Tahoe on a budget. So let's talk about that. Like I said, Pollock Pines is Tahoe on a budget. What's great about hanging out in the Tahoe Basin is you have all the water sports available to you on the lake and world-class hiking and mountain biking on land. The other thing people love about the Tahoe Basin is just that cool mountain town vibe. Most of you that go up there probably get a cool little Airbnb that's an A-frame or a chalet, and it makes you feel like you're in a cabin in the woods. Pollock Pines has all of that at half the price. The median home price as of the recording of this video in South Lake Tahoe is $757,000. Like I said before, the median home price in Pollock Pines is $387,000. That's nearly half. You can have the beautiful lake, the granite, the tall pine trees, the mountain biking, the water skiing, the hiking, the cool mountain town vibes, the chalet and A-frame style homes. You can have all of that at half the price. And you never have to drive Echo Summit in the winter, you don't have to deal with tourist traffic, and you don't have to drain your 401k to buy a home. In fact, over the last nearly 20 years, Pollock Pines is the #1 destination that my relocation clients have come to buy a vacation home because it's such a great value. You get everything that's great about Tahoe at half the price. It's time to talk about the cons of living in Pollock Pines. Now, I love the foothills. I've lived here since 1997, and I think our communities represent the very best quality of life that Northern California has to offer. But let's face it, there are things specific to living in any place that are important to know before you move there. So we're gonna go over that list with you now. On with the cons. Con number 1 of living in Pollock Pines is snow. Now I know some of you, the snow might be a pro, but definitely when it comes to Pollock Pines, if you don't like the snow, don't go. It is real snow country here. At 4,000 feet, you have snow that builds up into drifts. You can have 4-foot snow drifts standing for multiple weeks at a time. It is really living in snow country, shoveling snow, blowing snow, and dealing with snow on a consistent basis in the winter. To put that into perspective, just 15 minutes down the hill in Placerville, you might have a light dusting twice a year, and every 10 years, one big storm. In between the two, you have Camino at 3,000 feet, where you have snow that's enough to be an inconvenience a few times a year, but it burns off in a couple of days. But in Pollock Pines, in a real normal winter, you're dealing with snow most of the time. So you have to decide, is snow a pro or a con for your family? Con number 2 of living in Pollock Pines is that some of the neighborhoods can be really dark. Now, this one sounds kind of funny. What do you mean? Well, if you live in an area with big, tall pine trees, those trees can sometimes block out the light. Now, one of the number one things on the list for every buyer I've worked with over the years is natural light. There's some communities in Pollock Pines that have great natural light and they're not so deep down in the trees, and there are other ones that are deep down in the trees, so it's darker there. So if natural light is a big priority for you, you have to be careful the place you choose in Pollock Pines. Also, in those darker neighborhoods, the snow lasts for longer and it takes longer for it to melt off. So that's a consideration as well. Hey, if you've made it this far and you're getting anything at all out of this video, hit the like button, click subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss another video with crucial information about your move to El Dorado County. Con number 3 of living in Pollock Pines is there's just not that much shopping there. You can get your basics done. You have a grocery store, a hardware store, a gas station, and a couple of small restaurants, but that's about it. Even to get a larger selection of local small businesses, you gotta go 15 minutes down the hill to Placerville. And you have to go all the way to Folsom before you get into big box retail or shopping malls or major movie theaters. So that's something to consider. Now again, this one, for some of you, that'll be a pro. You're looking to move away from all that stuff and live in a place where you don't see strip malls all the time. And if that's the case, Pollock Pines is definitely the place for you. But if you're someone who wants really regular daily access to big box retail and a lot of shopping options, that is not something Pollock Pines has to offer. Con number 4 of living in Pollock Pines is drive times. This community is a little further out, at 15 minutes further drive even than Placerville. And once you get down by the lake or even further out than that, it may take you 15 to 25 minutes just to get to the freeway. So this means your drive times are longer. Drive times to get to shopping, drive times to get to the big box retail down in Folsom, drive times to get to kids' soccer matches and baseball games. You're just gonna spend more time in the car, and that's part of life in a rural community like Pollock Pines. Con number 5 of living in Pollock Pines is that many homes don't have central air conditioning. And this one has really caught my clients out over the years. They show up to tour a home and they see that it's got a heater and they assume it's got an air conditioner. And I have to tell them, no, it actually doesn't. Many homes here don't. Because Pollock Pines is at 4,000 feet and it's so much cooler, I told you it's 10 degrees cooler than Placerville even, a lot of people don't feel the need to have central air conditioning. That doesn't mean it doesn't get hot. Pollock Pines itself will have a bunch of really hot days in the summer, so a lot of people end up purchasing in Pollock Pines without central air conditioning and then having to incur the cost of putting it in down the road when they realize, hey, even at 4,000 feet, it's still a little too hot for them in the summer. So if central air conditioning is something that's important to you, it's something we need to evaluate on your home of choice and make sure that it's already there or easily and cheaply put in for you. All right, con number 6 for living in Pollock Pines is that there is one main road in and one main road out. Now, of course, there are other roads and the locals will yell at me that there's lots of other ways, but really, Sly Park Road is the main way in and out where you're gonna access most of the homes and recreation in Pollock Pines. It is a 2-lane windy country road, so you can get stuck behind someone who's just not comfortable on it and is putt-putting. You get stuck behind a logging truck or a motorhome, or when it's snow time, people will just be going slow on that road, and it can increase your drive times to everywhere because of that one main road in and one main road out. So if you're gonna move to Pollock Pines, you need to kind of account for that in your timing of getting places. You need to leave yourself a little extra buffer if you live on or off Sly Park Road, because it could take you a little bit longer depending on who you get stuck behind. All right, now we are on to our maybe. Maybe it's a pro, maybe it's a con, you'll have to decide for your family, and that is snow days. Now, my kids think snow days are awesome. We live in Placerville and we don't get snow days, and it makes them really mad when their friends in Pollock Pines do. Now, if you're not familiar with snow days, that means it has snowed so much you just can't get out to work or school, and everybody just has to stay home for the day with a free day off. Now, the kids love it, but for parents, it can cause some problems. You have to figure out childcare for snow days if you can still get into work, or if you miss work but they don't cover you for snow days, you may lose some income due to that. So for some people, snow days are a great free day off to spend some time with the family, and they love it and they think it's something great about living in snow country. And for other people, snow days are an inconvenience that makes it hard to cover their kids or actually cost them money at work. So you'll have to decide, are snow days a pro or a con for your family? All right, that wraps up our discussion of the pros and cons of living in Pollock Pines. And I hope this has helped you decide whether Pollock Pines is right for your family. But whether it's right or not for your family won't really matter at all if you don't know if you can afford to live there. So to figure that out, click this video right here on the cost of living in Pollock Pines. And if you're still not sure if Pollock Pines is right for you, or even if Dorado County is, and you want to explore some of our other foothills towns, click this playlist right here that goes over the pros and cons of many of our foothills communities. As always, I really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next one.